week. Yeah.
You should probably minimize that bad boy when you get the after you hit go. Anyway.
Does that help? I guess it might.
Yeah, I mean it gets it out of the way. You can't hit any buttons if you can't hit any buttons.
Don't
I
forget
guess that's
early
true.
show stuff like Austin, iTunes, Twitter, other stuff, shoutouts, topics, rundown. All right. Yes, I
Yeah.
think it might be a good idea to do this after we record the show. Cool. All right. So.
Wait, Josh, you're agreeing with the notion that it would be a good idea to do that?
To do what? To do that after the show?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. What do we say? What do we say? Like, hey, thanks, Austin. We're on iTunes. You can find us at Twitter, even though we never use the Twitter account.
Hey, I use the
You
Twitter
use the
account.
Twitter account?
Oh, you
Every
do?
time we post something, yeah. Every time something goes up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever responded to you on the Twitter account?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. It wasn't me.
There's we have all of 60 followers too. It's great.
Holy
Yeah.
crap. That's pretty good. All right. I'm impressed. Okay, well,
We
I
should
will-
sync up first, I guess.
Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
That has not been the standard operating procedure, man. Come
What
on.
is it? 1, 2, 3, clap?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't been here in a while. I've been busy.
That's true. That's true.
I
That's
changed
true.
jobs. It's been hectic. Okay.
Wait,
1,
really?
2, we don't need to talk about this now. Don't mess with my count, man. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. We're synced up. 5 seconds of silence. Okay.
Close enough, I hope.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I counted to 5 in my head.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, Josh, is that why you have a haircut now? Like a new one?
Haircut? No, this is the same haircut I've been getting for the past 14 or 15 years. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
He's just in better lighting. Get a
yeah,
better
yeah. I'm not hiding in the office because Rachel isn't here. It looks better out here. Okay, so I say the intro and then what is this early show stuff like Austin, iTunes, Twitter? Like what do I say?
Well, it's like it's always nice to thank your engineer.
Okay.
And then mentioning you can find us on this and this and this and this, and then today we'll be talking about blank. And when I was saying do it after, it would be easier to do that at the end so that we know what we actually talked about.
Yes.
So that when you say it, it actually makes sense. And then it's easy enough to just cut that and stick it at the beginning.
Maybe, but I like the notion of saying it now because
Because you
Like,
like being wrong,
it might make more sense to do it the other way. But who listens to us to hear about?
No, we
things
recorded
making
at the end, but then put it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? No.
I think well, honestly, I think he wants us to be wrong because it gives it a more handmade quality.
A little bit, and it feels a little like it would feel a little, I guess less handmade or less genuine if we did it afterward and we were all tired and stuff and I don't know. Maybe we could do it at the end.
Okay.
I guess
No.
that could work too.
Okay.
Okay, I will try to get through all of this. How about that?
All right.
Sure.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the slashMLS podcast. My name is Josh, Reddit username 97227ist, and with me I have Ian.
Yes, I'm Ian. Username Armaskarhu.
Fantastic.
And I am James, username Nefarious Joe.
And before we go deeper into the show, I would like to give a shout out to our producer Austin, who makes us sound better and trims out the sections of the show where we are incoherent and or wrong. You can always find us on iTunes at /MLS Podcast. We're also at Twitter at Ian. What's the Twitter handle?
It's just at /MLS.
It's just at /MLS. How come we don't have it? We don't have a pod name or anything on there.
No, it's just at /MLS. That's
Okay.
how it works. That's
Right.
what we were originally.
It's more aerodynamic that way.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so 140 characters. I get it. I did once take my Twitter name from something longer and coherent to just like a jumble of consonants. So I understand how this works. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the U.S. men's national team versus Chile, a little bit about Sasha Question, Hope Solo. We're going to talk a little bit about some folks involved in the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup of Nations. Or wait, is it the Asian Championship?
I don't know.
I should have figured this out before I brought it up. Well, there's only one player in the Asian thing, the Asian Confederation Cup. Oh, it's the Confederation Asian. I'll just stop. It's just Tim Cahill.
We're going to talk about Tim Cahill later.
We're going to talk about Tim Cahill, and that's really all I care about. And there are little Freddie Adu news, because everybody loves a little Freddie Adu, and then some trade talk. Who would like to take it away?
Is there much to do about Freddie Adu?
Oh my God! You're the first person to make that joke.
I know, right?
Much ado about something.
And it's a Shakespeare reference. Like, oh man.
I know.
I feel good about that one. I'm just proud of us.
Yeah, I know. It's your sporting knowledge is immense, but you're cultured still. You're not just like some it's great. Who watched men's national team of the United States of America play a friendly against Chile?
I did. We won. I left after the 63rd minute to pick up my little sister.
All right.
And
we were winning 2-1, and then I got back, and I haven't. Actually, I have checked. I just being
silly.
He's.
You're realizing what happened.
Yeah, it's like when I talk about the 2013 Gold Cup final. It was the best 20 minutes of my life.
No, we won that.
We won to Dos a Cero.
No. You're talking about 2009.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about 2011, maybe?
No, it was 09. Or no, it was 11. You're right. It was 11.
Yeah, 2011, where we ended up blowing it in the end. Oh, Johnny B, why do you do this to me? Over and over, he disappoints me. And I did not intend for that to rhyme at all. But I'm going to wind up writing that one down later.
Yeah. So, what happened there? I mean, okay, I did not watch the game.
I take it you did not watch it. Yes.
I did not watch the game. However, I saw the score afterwards, and I can understand why you would be really excited for a while, because Chile, quarterfinalists in the last World Cup, and they were a very exciting team to watch, and they've got some really great players. And they've got Gary Medel, who just is one of my favorite guys who plays the game. So they're a big team, and when I saw that the U.S. was for a while doing well, it was really exciting.
So a couple of things. First of all, Reddit is telling me that we didn't do so hot, or not. We didn't do so hot. Chile wasn't. I mean, we didn't do so hot, but Chile wasn't playing it like close to their A team, or even their B team. It was more like their C team, and that was actually pretty close to our A team. So there's that. So we debuted this 3-5-2 thing with Jermaine Jones anchoring it, and it was really weird. But I liked it for a couple players. I really, really, really liked it for Yedlin. Like, that's probably the best.
It's the best performance I've ever seen him give in a game for club or country. Yes.
Yeah, and if you think about who he is as a player, that's literally the best spot you can put him in. Put him in at wingback, where he has a little bit of defensive responsibility. That first goal, he didn't realize it yet. He's like, oh wait, shit, I still got to play defense. But then he did, and he actually did a pretty solid job in that first half. And of course, on the offensive side, it was pretty much, well, if we get the ball somewhere close to the right flank, Yedlin will go get it, and that's exactly what happened. So I really, really like that for him. I just don't know if I like that for a couple of other players. Obviously, Breck Shea cannot play left wing. That was stupid. He doesn't understand the whole defense thing. And when you're playing a 3-5-2 and your left wing doesn't know how to defense, that's not going to work.
Yeah, there were three players who had the new types of defensive responsibilities. It was Shea, it was Mix, it was Jermaine Jones, and all three of them did very badly. Mix and Shea were clumsy, and I think that there was a lot more emergency defending on that end. I know it's kind of weird to say that two players did badly when one got an assist and another got a goal, but from a purely defensive standpoint, I was not happy with either of them. Jones was bailed out by Nick Raimondo in the most bailing out of bailing outs I've seen recently, and
I'll put it this way: Jermaine Jones in the Hex was derided by not being defensive enough to play defensive midfield, and now he's playing center back.
He needs somebody behind him. I like him fine paired with Bradley in a flat 4-4-2, but it is. I do not like him at center back at all.
What? So, like, is this just a recognition of his somewhat limited mobility, or is this like just a plain old what you're actually supposed to do in friendlies, which is experiment and see what works and what doesn't work? I mean, it sounds like, well,
Klinsmann seems pretty set.
Yeah. So the thing about a 3-5-2 is that you need to have your three need to be very, very smart about what they're supposed to do when the wingbacks run up the field, which is going to be most of the time. They're not going to be back there playing traditional, left and right back that you kind of get in a flat back four. So usually you do that with very experienced people who understand each other really well. So just kind of glomming a couple folks in there.
Those wingbacks need to be aware of how defense works, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, it always helps if they understand that they are supposed to play defense.
And we were, in fact, exposed on the wings quite a lot, especially in the last two goals we gave up.
Yeah, I noticed that Mark Gonzalez is a winger.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens. Yeah.
Well, we didn't. We switched back at some point because Jermaine Jones wasn't playing center back the whole game.
Right. Yeah. Somewhere just after the half, we moved to a little bit more of a 4-4-2, which didn't work a whole lot better because Shea was still on the field as a left back, and it was again not his natural position, to be sure. I don't think that this is the first time that he's ever played the position, but it certainly looked like it.
Can we say that, looking for positives in this, Josie Altidore scored a goal?
He did indeed, and it was a cool, calm, collected finish. It was exactly what you want a striker to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, and that showed another positive. I think the 3-5-2. I think there's future in it, because what I feel like. So I feel like the national team, with the proper center back, is pretty good at defending crosses, and if you're going to give something up from the U.S. perspective, it might as well be crosses, and that's sort of what happens in the 3-5-2, and that's kind of sort of worked in the first half, and the time that it broke down was when Yedlin hadn't realized, like I said, he hadn't realized that he had defensive responsibilities still,
Wait, are you saying he didn't realize he had defensive responsibilities at the 66th and 75th minute of the game?
No.
Okay.
In the first goal, there were acres of space where he theoretically should have been.
Right.
Yes.
But also it was atrocious marking in the box, and it's right. Like, we should, with our player pool, expect to be aerially dominant, especially in the box, and we weren't at all today. Which some of that it has to do with Jermaine Jones not really being an aerial presence, but other parts of it just have to do with Steve Birnbaum and Matt Beasler not having the kind of understanding that they probably need, which is excusable at this point, but it is something that I would have hoped they'd already kind of worked out in camp.
Well, and none of those guys are really the aerial players on any of their backlines. Birnbaum defers to Boswell in DC. Beasler deferred to Colin as the aerial guy in Kansas City. And Jermaine Jones just doesn't have much of a leap.
Yes.
Well, he's supposed to be playing in front of the back line anyways, so, or at least traditionally that's what he does, so normally your aerial ability isn't as crucial there.
Well, right,
exactly.
But where he was today, it was.
And
and we almost let up a goal that was very, very, very close. It's like a the guy was a centimeter offside or something. I don't know. I wasn't thinking he was
Yeah,
off.
he very well may have been on, but yeah. So do we think that we would want somebody who is a more staunch center back in the Chad Marshall, Omar Gonzalez mold, or do we want somebody who has mobility along with that as well? Like, can we sacrifice mobility for a larger, more positionally minded center back in the
So the guy
middle of that
that's
back three?
so the guy that's perfect for that is Brooks,
Huh, interesting.
because he's mobile, he's tall, he's getting his defensive awareness under him. I mean, he's young, he can grow into that role. Ever since his opening game that was kind of a struggle against Ukraine, he's grown a lot and
Hmm.
become a pretty good center back. I think he is the future center guy in that 3-5-2. Um, my only problem is I just don't know where Jermaine Jones goes at all. I think maybe he goes with Bradley in front of that back three, but I'm not sure.
If he's doing if he's doing a 3-5-2, then it's got to be Bradley and Jones as those holding mids. Well, it doesn't have to be, but if Jones is on the field, that's his position.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Bradley was another positive. I thought Bradley was pretty comfortable today too. There
He
was
was.
one moment in the 22nd minute where uh, he was supposed to step to the guy that was shooting from like 30 yards out, and Jermaine Jones did instead, and so he kind of got that wrong. But other than that, I feel like that's pretty
He got a little trigger happy at the end. I thought that he was sacrificing some potentially better plays to take shots from pretty far out. But other than that, I mean, we were desperate for a goal. We were down. I think that he just really wanted to. They really, really didn't want to lose, and he probably, or well, may not have had confidence in the people around him at the time. There were a handful of people debuting for the team, who unfortunately, I don't think anybody had a particularly stellar debut. Certainly positives from Zardes and Wiltrap both, but nothing really of note.
I kind of like Stardust. He was.
Oh, I did too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that he was able. I love that his game for the Galaxy works for this team,
Yeah.
or could potentially anyway.
So should we have a larger discussion on the future of this formation for United States?
That's what I was thinking about.
The 3-5-2. How is that back in vogue? It's interesting. When I first started watching soccer, that was like the Italian formation that was like sweeping the continent. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, we can do this!" And then very quickly, people realized that unless you're playing at the pace and with the kind of skill and like the defensive acumen that you find in Italy, it doesn't work particularly well. And somehow it seems like some Dutch people have decided to give it a go again. But I don't understand the vogue for it, other than that you let your wingbacks do more and you don't require a defensive midfielder or midfielders to drop back and cover the center back pairing, in the same way that you do if you have two rows of four or whatever you've got in the midfield. Like, you let your midfield players by and large maintain or hold space in the middle of the park. But it just seems every time I watch a 3-5-2, I see lots of goals getting scored by wingers or people banging in just crosses in acres of space. And
Right.
I feel like that happened against the Netherlands in the World Cup. They, by and large, got away with it. I've been watching Manchester United really struggle this year to do it. Like, I don't see anybody doing it really well except Juventus and Italy, but they're far and away the best team in that league, and they could play any formation and they'd still win in that league. So I don't know. I don't like it. I am not a fan of it at all.
I like it when
I
it's
go-
played very conservatively, but nobody does that right now. I mean, it's like I'm a particularly big fan of the way the U.S. did it in 2002 against Mexico. Like, that's a version of a 3-5-2 that I'm okay with. You know what I mean? Like, Brad Friedel did not have to make a lot of saves that day. I mean, he had a couple of nervy moments regardless, but the thing is that it would just absorb pressure. But that's not the kind of way that people are playing it now. It's not the kind of way that people were playing it back in Italy, as you were describing. Something that's like more conservative, and where you have, instead of wingbacks who are bombing back and forth, and those are the only people, it involves more of the sort of outside center backs sort of pushing wide and defensive mids pulling back, and that's how you get a back five. Something that requires
that's how we in high school, we entirely used the 3-5-2. And that's exactly so. This is I have a love-hate relationship with this formation because that's what we used. But for me as a shorter natural as a shorter center back, it didn't quite work for me. So I didn't get to see this field as much as I would have under like a 4-4-2 or anything. But like, uh, I don't know. It worked fine for us. We went to the state title game. It was a lot of fun. The thing that I sort of liked at the very beginning of the experiment, near the beginning of the game, was our center back was like the meanest guy in the team, and I was like, okay, if I'm thinking of who the meanest guy in the U.S. national team is, it's definitely Jermaine Jones. But sometimes when you leave the realm of high school soccer and move on to international soccer, you have to take into account more things than this.
That maybe the tactics are going to change slightly?
Maybe.
Do you think that your state title contending team would not have been able to take those same tactics to the World Cup? Is that your
Probably
bold
not.
prediction for today?
I mean, against the Chilean C team, maybe Ian's high
Yeah,
school
who
team
knows?
would have had a shot. You never know. I mean,
Well, let me tell you what my main problem is with us running that. It is the same problem that I have with us running a 4-5-1 in the World Cup, in that we only like the one that we had was Josie Altidore, and if by some crazy happenstance he gets injured and can only play for 30 minutes of the first game, the entire structure comes falling down. And while I understand that Klinsmann wants to have, his cake and eat it too, which is essentially have a 5-man midfield and 2 strikers to prevent that problem, we're running into a problem where we technically have 4 people in the entire pool who could conceivably play a wingback. That's Yedlin, Shea, Chandler, and Fabian Johnson. And none of those guys are particularly renowned for their defensive abilities. Of those 4, Fabian Johnson is probably the best defender. One could make an argument for Robbie Rogers, and I would absolutely be the first one to do it, and he would automatically become the best defender of those 5. But I do not want to I do not want to hinge our entire future success based on those 4 players.
I really like Yedlin as a
So do I.
defender going forward. I think he's a lot to learn, and I think he's going to. He's just gotten mounds better over like every game he plays, it seems. And like I said, I do think, like, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I do feel like this is one of those formations that really does sort of maximize what we do really well, which is just be really fast on the wing. Now we don't really have anybody on the left that can, or I guess
Yeah, but
we
we
do.
have
I guess Fabian
one
Johnson
guy.
would be that guy.
But I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
we-
like let's say that Yedlin becomes the greatest wingback on the planet. That is still DeAndre Yedlin, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is, if he gets a hamstring strain like he did in Brazil and has to come out of a game in the first half, where does that leave us? Now, I'm
Right.
not saying that our players are completely incapable of changing tactics on the fly, but if we're picking a formation, I wanted to take the entire pool into account, or at the very least the top 30 players that you have available, and say, what is the formation that will get the most out of these guys, and not what is the formation that I can get the most out of 5 guys.
Yeah.
Because this formation, it benefits Josie, it benefits potentially Bradley, it benefits 1 of 3 center backs. When we think about like the guys who could really thrive in this formation, I'm okay with that, but I kind of like that it's a club in the bag. I like that they're experimenting around, but I don't know. I feel like that Jurgen Klinsmann should just accept his 4-4-2 fate.
yeah, there's something too. I mean, I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with unbalanced teams. So I'm thinking of Yedlin, and he's a remarkable athlete. And once he develops a little bit more ball control and an ability to put a good cross in, I mean, you can just let him run. For a long time, the Argentina national team had Juan Serene, who was like a pure wingback, and he ran up and down the left side of the field, and the back 4 shifted into a back 3 when he went, and that was it. It wasn't like it didn't have to stay balanced, and it actually really threw. I mean, I remember watching '98 and 2002. Like, people had a very hard time defending Argentina because they were so completely unbalanced. And and that's the kind of thing at a certain level. Like if you're not going to dance through somebody's defensive lines with incredible little triangles, and you're not just going to flat out sprint everybody on the field, you might as well confuse them and get them unbalanced. And if somebody's going to try to do some kind of man marking, then have them try to track people who are going into places they're not going to expect. And if you have them try to do some kind of zonal marking or something like that around the back, like just throw one or two more people in there and overload one side of it and see what happens. Because like that's how you get scrappy, weird little goals. And I for us, we can use scrappy goals. Like we're not going to be purists about it. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, we'll take it.
So is the concern then that the 3-5-2 pretty much expects Yedlin to play that role as opposed to putting him as a right back and exposing other teams to that potential unbalance?
The problem is that it expects two players to do something that we have four guys that could do it all and only one guy who excels at. And I mean, everything that Josh was saying about having like a good shape in the defense and having an offense that is flexible and can go anywhere and not necessarily have to be thrown into that is exactly why I like a flat 4-4-2.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that with a flat 4-4-2, Yedlin can still do Yedlin things, and it would be more unexpected, and it would make it more unbalanced, like you were saying, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no reason why they can't do what the Sounders were doing when on the occasions where Brad Evans was playing right back, right mid. He would just allow Yedlin to own the right touchline, and he would pinch in to help in central midfield. Fine, great, grand, wonderful. Every time Baggio Sidic played left mid for the Galaxy, that's what he would do with Rodgers going up the side. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Just because somebody is playing left mid doesn't mean that they have to be Cristiano Ronaldo or play just like him. And it feels like I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but it feels like with the way that Klinsmann is and has been coaching this team, is that if you are playing this position, you do have to play it in a particular way. And an unbalanced is probably not the good word for it, but rather like an attack that overloads one side seems to be something that he's unwilling to look at. This is a team that doesn't stretch defenses, and it's a team that allows itself to get stretched constantly.
I wouldn't say that. I think he's pretty much been in favor of a wingback coming up. I mean, that's why he put.
No, he's in favor of both wingbacks coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we don't have like a strong side wing side offense. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, I sort of thought of Beasley as the left back that stays home in his older age, but the notion is that he was a midfielder and he did almost score a couple goals there, one against Panama that I still remember. But maybe. I think he takes great value. He values, obviously you're gonna value speed in your fullbacks, but I just think he really likes the notion of those guys flying up and attacking like but yeah, I don't know.
I think he does too. I think that right now the current trend in international football is to have as many people attacking as possible. And he is trying to do that. And I think that that's why the 3-5-2 is looking the way that it looks right now. It allows you to have as many people in the attack as possible. Because like a free-flowing attack is pretty much the response to it's the Real Madrid Barcelona tug of war that was happening a couple of years ago, where you had the slow methodical build versus the outright terrifying run at you counter that. And I think now people are sort of swinging toward more of a free-flowing game. And I think that's why people are looking at the 3-5-2.
I did notice at some point in the first half, Altidore went and pressured the goalie, and it wasn't one of those, oh god, the goalie's got the ball, I gotta sprint and run at him. He was just like right there. And it's like we were pressuring higher than I remember us pressuring in a long, long time.
Certainly in recent memory, yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot. There were a lot of things to take away that were good. We scored an early goal. We gave up an early goal, but at least we scored one.
Yeah.
I thought that the second goal that we scored was excellent. Those are the kind of goals that I hope that we can score more of. It was really amazing work from Yedlin, who it's shocking to me. Like if you said 2 weeks ago that I'd be saying these such nice things about him, I would have said you were crazy. Um, but good work from Diskerud coming from very deep up to even higher than our target striker, and Josie getting open and scoring. Like those are the kind of goals that I hope that we can keep scoring. Like in people playing in a way that isn't necessarily what they're supposed to be doing in whatever the formation is, but playing intelligently and reading the situation well and actually opening people up as opposed to attritioning them.
Someone I haven't talked about yet, Steve Birnbaum, U.S.
Oh,
national team. First start, almost scored a goal.
He looked
Wasn't
good.
on the wrong goal, wasn't on the right goal, but.
Other than that particularly nervy moment, and it's great because Nick Raimondo is collecting all kinds of drinks tonight, I am sure. He looked good. I was impressed actually, and was pleasantly surprised that at how sharp Beasley looked as well, or Beasler, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, he's gotten the rest a little bit, so that's nice. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the national team, which is good for Josh because he hates the national team.
That is not true. I just it doesn't command my attention always in the same way that really obscure South American Cup competitions do. Let's be honest, I'm that much of a hipster. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about Sasha Kljestan, who sucks and nobody likes him. I'm just reading off of the
don't read that.
I'm reading off of the show notes. Oh, it also says, oh yes, everyone feels sorry for the LA fans. So he's going to Red Bull New York, who I hear are going to make some attempt to field a team this next year coming up. No, I mean it's like for a club that desperately needed some good news, that is a bit of good news.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will calm some of the ire that the Petke firing seems to have drawn them. I don't know what.
I hope it calms some of the ire.
You anti-hope.
Yeah.
I anti-hope. I'm pretty sure. I am no master of the English language, but I'm pretty sure that means that you, in fact, hope it calms some of the ire.
Wait, no. If I hope it calms some of the ire, then that's no. But I anti-hope that it.
He wishes only horrible thing upon.
Yeah, I know what he was trying to get at. I wanted to lawyer him out, but it didn't work.
Okay.
Don't be one of those guys. But just
let me be clear. This is not because they're New York and I'm a DC fan. It's because I think New York has bought themselves a significant amount. The front office has bought themselves a significant amount of shitty karma, and I think even their fans would kind of like to see them have a terrible season as a result of what they did.
Just so they could be like, see, you should have stuck with Petke.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, in fact, have a horrible season. But I hope Sasha Kljestan doesn't have a horrible season. He struck me as kind of a nice guy. And, Belgium is, let's be frank, one of the more boring. I don't think that maybe like the standard Anderlecht derby that they have, or whatever, I don't know what they call it. But so there's two good teams in Belgium, and then everybody else is not MLS level. I haven't watched a lot of the Belgian league, but my impressions of the few games that I've seen have not been particularly amazing. And I know they've got some reasonable clubs that play in European, in the Champions League and in the Europa League fairly regularly, namely the two that I just named, Anderlecht and Standard. But outside of those ones, like the games that I've seen have been pretty bad. I don't think it's quite USL level, but I don't think that it's MLS level. So I think it's going to be good for him coming over.
I would saying that it's USL level is probably a stretch, but
no, it's not. It's not. I did not say that.
Yeah,
it is not USL level, but it is not. It's not that good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not great teams.
Hey, I've seen some good USL soccer in my life.
Yeah.
We all have. We all have seen the odd good game, but regardless, so I mean, I suppose the story there is really the allocation order and how that worked out, and how somebody can turn their hand early and in
It was
league.
pretty simple, guys. New York
Yeah,
traded these players for the number one allocation spot, and they got the player who's coming on of allocation.
yeah, right. Yeah. No, it is obviously LA made themselves look very, very stupid twice in a row in 6 months to go after the same player.
Yeah.
Because you guys gave us Opari, right? We don't
We
use him
did,
right
yeah.
away.
Who I'm surprised never got really many minutes. I mean, I guess,
Well, we had Sean Franklin, so
yeah,
and I guess we had Taylor Kemp. He's not as Taylor Kemp is better than Opari.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, Apari is a center back.
Oh well, that's why we have two national teamers, yo.
Yeah, I know,
Boswell,
but
okay. I mean, Boswell's never been on the national team, but he should be.
yeah, I would imagine he's. Oh, he doesn't. But I would imagine he's next in line on your team anyway. But that's a digression to be sure. No, so the real thing is that like considering the entire passion play around him, the relatively smart trade, the kind of a win-win trade between them and Montreal aside, I do think it's a little weird that I like how does a team not like really say it's like, okay, well, if we're not going for number one, clearly we can't expect anything.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I would say that Montreal and San Jose were both asking for the world, and they said, okay, well, nobody's going to give them what they're asking for, and neither of them are going to want to pay Kleshton, so he'll just drop to us. But
So what might be hurting LA, I think, is the last time you guys wanted the number one spot in allocation order, you traded away Mike McGee. So everybody's expecting
no,
to get Mike
no.
McGee.
We traded away Mike McGee to get the rights to Robbie Rogers. Though I do think
Similar type deal though, right? Like
yes, exactly. So kind of the idea being that the way how Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal have to pay more for a player. They have to pay like that big four tax. That's how it manifests it here in our league. And then I'm sure that Montreal probably wanted Marcelo Sarvis and AJ De La Garza, and then they would have given us the allocation spot in cash. Like no player on their end was involved. But the thing was
they probably asked for Jesse Zardes.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, but either way, like they probably asked for something that was just completely ridiculous, and so they said, like, okay, if that's what they're asking, if that's the going rate in their mind, then we'll just say fuck it. But the thing is that they never, for some reason, they didn't think about what would happen when the window is only a few days from closing, and Kleshton is pretty much the last of the Americans who's going to be coming home. And so it's entirely possible that he is the last player who's going to go through the allocation order if it sticks around for the next year. Although a lot of people are saying that it's going to go away, although I don't see why it would. I don't see why the league would want to give that up.
I say it's going away. I can see why it would. Pick me.
Go for it. Yeah. Sure.
Ian, the man in the back with the mustache. Yes. Yes, you, sir. No, not such a question. Ian, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Why is the allocation order sticking around? So that really horrible teams have something to trade? Because it does seem to be regularly that like you get a team who just eats it, and then they are at the top of the allocation order, and yet players who would go through allocation are like, I'm not going there. And so you're like, okay, cool, well, I can trade this to someone who's somewhere where you might actually go.
And that is precisely why it's sticking around. It's one of the last vestiges of parity when it comes to player acquisition.
It is kind of a neat. It is neat for that reason.
It's neat. It's also, I mean, it's a bit. If we're going to keep it in the interest of parity, it should be something better, honestly. Because really, it just means like you get some crappy players off of teams that are desirable.
Not necessarily. Do you think that Montreal just got two crappy players? They got Eric Alexander and Rosa Youngo for it.
Well, Eric Alexander. I mean, I think they got. Eric Alexander is rather mediocre. I mean, having watched him play for Portland, I don't think he's a bad player, but I don't think he's.
I think he was playing in a better system, or a system that better suited his skill set there than he did in New York, or than he did in Portland. Excuse me.
Yep.
But
Yep.
but the thing is that he's certainly better than the that is 2 defensive upgrades for a team that desperately needed defensive upgrades.
Fair enough.
And that is 2 players that are probably going to start for them pretty regularly. They got 2 starters for something that the league just gave them. And I think that people are going to look at things like DC's recent turnaround. And honestly, I think Montreal is going to do a hell of a lot better this year. I think that they're going to stop leaking goals. They're not going to score them that much, but I think that they're certainly not going to be bottom of the league again. And they're going to look at that.
They have solid MLS veterans who are, above average MLS players.
Yeah, and Justin Mathis is going to be injured for half of the year, probably.
They're kind of sort of like the DC of last year. They just have a bunch of above average MLS players, and when you put all those together, you get an above average MLS team. Works out.
Okay.
So basically, I think that they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, this is why the allocation order needs to stay.
Yeah. I wonder though if, in the interest of player power and in the interest of attracting better players to the league, if they weaken it somehow, and I don't see it being quite the mechanism that it was. Also, there's like you were saying, you were also saying
right? Because
it's a I mean, you never know who's in it and who's not. Also, we're kind of running out of American players to come.
That is really the biggest thing. I mean, it's like, is LA really going to go out of their way and try to pick up like Bobby Wood or something? And there's no way that they're going to be able to get a lot of players to go out there and go for less than a DP contract of the Americans that are still out there.
Tim Ream. Someone should go out and get Tim Ream.
No, what? No, Tim Ream is quietly becoming, he and Jeff Cameron are quietly becoming the most consistent contributors in any American in England. So,
Tim Ream's still at Bolton, right? Bolton's still
he
just signed a contract extension with them.
Because I'm a minor follower of Bolton, but yeah, they're still in the championship.
Minor follower of Bolton.
That must talked about this at least 4 times.
Depressing. I know, and every time I must say that must be depressing.
Yeah, right.
Wow. And it's not just that they're in the championship side; it's that I've been to Bolton.
it's like I'm a casual follower of Sheffield Wednesday. I'm sure that's very exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure once I actually go to England, I'll pick someone will attract me with their pretty.
Yeah. With their giant glass stadium and fancy Middle East-based airline sponsorships. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Yes.
Hope Solo.
Oh, Hope Solo.
Speaking of things that are depressing and.
Oh yeah. Rainy. Oh my God. Yeah. South Seattle. Let me tell you, South Seattle is depressing, and that's where Hope Solo is from. She is from the southern suburbs of Seattle, which are.
I did not know that. That explains everything.
Really, wait. Is she from there? Or does she live there?
I would imagine she lives
there. No, she's from there. She's from there.
She's actually from there. Okay.
She's from there. She's from south of Seattle, actually.
She might also live there because she plays for the Seattle Reign.
Right. Is she from Tacoma? Is that what we're saying?
She's from further south and more depressing than Tacoma.
I'm not sure that's a thing.
Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, kind of east, and she's not to rag on Hope, but she's from a part of the world that's mostly known for the Superfund site that was caused by a reactor meltdown there. So that's what it's famous for.
Interesting.
Right. Hope, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Don't ever go back to the Tri-Cities, though. It's awful. Anyway, so. Tell me a Hope Solo story.
So Hope Solo and her new husband, still new-ish husband, her husband was driving a van owned by U.S. Soccer and got pulled over for a DUI, and she was not the classiest person during the traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's suspended for 30 days.
Yep.
So the real question is, do we think that U.S. Soccer is running out of patience with her? are these the sort of shenanigans that we think perhaps a more famous male player would be getting away with? Or
Honestly, I think if it were a male player, if it were someone on the men's national team, they would have stopped getting away with it a long time ago.
I don't know. Well, okay. Well, so when during Hope Solo's history, because I mean the sort of things that we've been hearing about, or the more negative aspects, aren't really that old. Like, I mean, this is still only a few years tops
Yeah,
that we've been.
but so after the whole, what was it, like the thing with the kid,
When she got into a
right?
fight with her sister, yeah.
Right.
Um,
Well, okay,
that
and first of all,
that
when we
was
say child, it should be noted, I think he was 16, 17 at the time. We're not talking like an 8-year-old. Um,
okay. I did not know that. I thought
yeah.
it was someone younger than that. Um, okay, so that makes things a little bit different. That said, I don't know. I feel like since the men's national team is in the spotlight a lot more often than the women's national team,
Mhm.
and that's flipped in the last like 20 years. Um, I think people would have lost patience with someone in a similar position.
Yeah.
Um, and that might also be a function of, if we're talking like goalies to goalies, since we have so many, like our goalie depth is so big, it would have been like, it doesn't super matter.
like if Tim Howard were caught like drunk and disorderly, they would just be like, Guzan's good enough, screw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really
I
think
know,
that's what
right?
they would have been doing?
So here's another way to look at this, which is I think that I think that a U.S. God, I just hate saying U.S. men's national team because it's just too many
It's a
syllables.
mouthful, yeah.
But I think if somebody on the men's team had done the same, they probably would be off because the men's team is still kind of to a degree like struggling for marketability and to get their faces out there, and I think that there is a clean cutness to the men's national team that feels kind of intentional. If you compare that to the behavior of an almost limitless number of players for European national teams, like that's nothing. That is nothing, and those guys still come out
Mhm.
and play. I don't. I
Yeah,
don't.
right.
I think Hope makes somebody like I don't know Frank Ribery sleeping with 14-year-old prostitutes,
Yeah,
or Nicholas Bentner peeing in a cabbie on the cab driver drunken. I mean, like I could
Wait,
go
wait, wait,
on and on and
wait. Are
on.
those both things that have happened?
yeah.
Oh yes, both of them.
Oh, yes.
Maybe the
I should
maybe the prostitute was 15, but I think she was
I
like
should pay more
Certainly
attention to
underage,
the
but
mother.
according to him, he didn't know.
yeah.
Is which
Anyway, so
given the ages of consent found in many European nations is potentially understandable. It wasn't like a repeat offender like Peter Crouch is purported to be.
I have
God, it just keeps getting better. So
Yeah.
I think Hope gets the latitude that most other athletes would get, and the men's national team is one of the few. It's like Olympic athletes and the men's national team; they're both kind of struggling a little bit for they're
Yeah,
both,
I would
they're
say
both
that this
held up
probably
to a
has more to do with her being American specifically. There are people who are saying that they're coming down hard on her because she was supposed to be the next like Mia Hamm, which again
yeah
like that clean cut,
yeah
um, what sort of role model type, as opposed to say like Atasha Kai, where if she runs her mouth and is very counter, they didn't care because they're like, oh well, nobody looks up to her like that. And I actually do kind of agree with that. That's part of the reason why they're kind of publicly admonishing her. But at the same time, I'm not sure that's entirely fair.
yeah.
But then again, like I mean, if I'm U.S. Soccer and somebody got a DUI in one of our vans, something tells you that wasn't part of the agreements
Yeah.
when they were given access to the motor vehicle.
Yeah.
That wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I
someone's got to go
probably would
down
have
for
done
that,
the
you're
same
saying.
thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. There also just kind of feels like there's just an element still of like, oh sure, you can use the van, kids. Like it's like this isn't high school. I don't know how.
I
It's
don't know
almost
the
like
story. I do not know how he ended up behind the wheel.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't either. But it kind of feels like it seems like like something you hear about from a summer camp.
Yeah,
More than
right.
something that you expect from the national team, from a very successful national team. So. I don't know. Moving on, Tim Cahill. He's playing in the final of the Asian competition whose name I cannot remember.
It's just the Asian Cup. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay, he's playing in the final of the Asian Cup.
And he is also reportedly very unhappy with his lot in life at
Yeah.
the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, which he's not the only one unhappy about that place. Yeah, I mean,
So okay, so what was that? I didn't look at that report. So it came out that like during the season he was unhappy, right? Of how he was being
Yes.
used or whatever.
Well,
Because he
rather
felt
not
like
used.
right. That's after coming off the World Cup where he scored a couple of really pretty goals or something.
And
Yeah.
well, after he scored, RVP lovers be damned, the best goal of the tournament. Yes.
yeah.
No.
I don't know. I don't
That
know.
header
Yeah, I don't know. Also,
or the James Rodriguez.
or James,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough. Yeah.
Kind of gotta
What's
give
that?
it to the James Rodriguez.
I'm not even going to
half
pretend
volley.
that this is an opinion, even though it totally is. You guys are just wrong.
Oh, okay, fair. Yeah, well,
Yeah, you guys are so wrong. I'm going to have Austin edit it out.
okay. I
No, I'm
didn't
kidding.
realize. So potentially he's going to that footballing hotbed, the United Arab Emirates.
Which it'll be great because if anybody can make me take the UAE seriously as a footballing nation, it's Tim Cahill.
Though,
Wait, isn't Australia playing the UAE in the
they
Asian
beat
Cup
them.
final?
They beat them. No, they're playing South Korea. They beat them.
Oh.
They beat them in the semifinal.
How did they get that far?
Australia or the
No,
Emirates?
no. Australia is good at soccer. I didn't
Yeah.
think the Emirates were though.
Well, the Emirates have done something where there's a good number of. I mean, they have a couple of good homegrown players, but there's also a few people from African and South American countries who have magically discovered that they had.
That they have, exactly. That they have.
Yeah. Oh my God! My great grandfather. Who knew?
So there is a
So
theory
the-
that part of the reason why the U.S. is having such a hard time getting Slalom's eligibility through is because of that. Is because there are countries who are doing things like that.
Yeah.
Wait, why would that be a problem for Zalalem?
Because he is not born in the U.S. He
Well,
was
yeah, no, I
raised
know
here.
that, but why is that? Like, why? What does
Because
the
okay, so
Emirates
he's
have to
still
do with
he's
them?
still like a case, right? So his parents
Yeah.
weren't born here either. So there is that question of his eligibility because even though he was raised here, even though he first started learning soccer here,
Mhm.
they think, okay, well, we don't want them just finding a good player who might have spent some time in their youth
Oh, so
in
you're
the
saying
U.S.
you're saying that the UAE thing is the reason why there's that FIFA regulation that
It's
is
not the reason why that the FIFA regulation exists, but there is a theory that it is the reason why they're looking at it and cracking down on it now.
Oh, yeah.
So like if the Gideon Zalem situation came up 8 years ago, we never would have had these problems. Like he would have been,
And
he would have been 16 years old and playing for us.
And Galati isn't anticipating this being a problem because it's like, hey, we're not. I know we have United in the name of our country, but we're not the UAE. We are.
That is a concern. People frequently confusing the.
It's one of those United countries, whatever, whichever one.
Yeah. I could never keep them straight.
Yeah.
Which one has Disneyland again? I can't just.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Well, both before long, I'm sure.
well, I think, I mean, if he really doesn't want to be there, then they shouldn't keep him around. And I think with Kleshchin and Dax McCarty and Felipe, I think that New York will actually have a reasonable midfield. I don't think.
I completely agree. I think that the midfield moves that they have been making suggest that he will not be in their plans for next season.
Yeah. All right, moving on again. Zilalim's eligibility. Hey, we were just talking about this.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, so suddenly now he is maybe not eligible? Or maybe...
Yeah,
No, he'll be fine. I think
Yeah.
we just covered this, right?
It's everything that I was just talking about.
because we're not the UAE and things and stuff, and
And
okay.
Gulati's still on the Exco, and he still knows which asses to kiss. And like, when his vote is cast for Sepp Blatter, we will know that he knows what side his bread is buttered on.
Wait, I feel like an idiot. Is Galati the CONCACAF rep now too, or is he just the
No,
US?
but he's the head of a federation, and they are the ones who vote on the FIFA president. So
Right. So he is
okay.
the head of the USSF, and he is on the FIFA Exco, the executive committee.
yep.
He should run for FIFA president. I heard there's someone, Luis Figo, who used
Luis
to play against
Figo.
us in the World Cup.
Louis Figo angling for a lifetime FIFA ban. Good for him. Like,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I think
People are stepping up. My favorite. Okay, so let's just talk like a little bit of FIFA gossip here. My favorite is. Have you guys heard of the campaign that David Ginola is waging, where he wants to be elected FIFA president? He does not have any money, so he's started a Kickstarter campaign to fund him running for FIFA president.
Yeah, that'll get his nomination sponsored by a federation leader. Yeah.
So he's apparently gotten. I think he's asking for $2 million, and when I looked at it a few days ago, he had gotten about $15,000.
So what are like the stretch goals on that?
Still impressive. Sort of.
Stretch goals, take over the world.
Yeah, right. It's
Right.
like, it's like, oh, if I get $3 million, I'll take over the court of arbitration for sport. Yeah.
I wonder if RMLS is moneyed enough to run for FIFA president.
No, I can tell you right now, no.
Well, do they take Bitcoin? No.
Yeah, Dogecoin, because
Dogecoin? Yeah, there you go. 80 billion Dogecoin. How much? It's like, we got this.
So I could see some people from some of the less prestigious football associations maybe get confused by Dogecoin and be like, oh, maybe I just misheard and they said euros.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, considering that the last several opponents of Sepp Blatter have somehow found themselves guilty of horrible crimes against FIFA and been banned, I don't think that Sunil Gulati is going to be really looking for that anytime soon. Don't get me wrong, I would love for an American to take over FIFA because
That would be the best.
because it is the only.
I just thought of the implications of what that would mean.
It
Just
would
like
blow
an
everyone's
American-
mind. And they're like, wait, we can't buy him? What?
Yeah. So when I'm reading, when I heard about this, there was something where it said like he's ineligible, but the U.S. can get an exception.
Yes.
Does that just involve like a? I'm guessing that exception is a wheelbarrow of money, right?
I would imagine
That's
it's gonna be Gulati showing up and talking to the other Exco members and going, "Come on, you've all done this.
We know you've done it. Not you, Germany, but everybody else.
Hey, Özil is Turkish, so like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Germans were bolstered by some Turks back then, and still. So.
like,
No, most of those people were born there, except Podolski. Podolski was not.
Yeah,
Was he born in Germany? No, I don't know. They've got a bunch of people.
No, Podolski's Polish-born.
He's Polish-born? Okay, well, hey, the Germans know what we're talking
Yeah, I
about.
know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like the French too. It's like, I mean, where would the French be without good Algerians? Where would the Algerians be without mediocre Frenchmen? Like,
where would the Belgians be without the stretch? Actually, even the Netherlands and all of their players from Suriname and from South America. Kluivert and Edgar Davids, all those guys, Surinamese.
I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with the fluid nature of nationality and
Do you think
eligibility.
Suriname is mad about that? They could have like good legacy players, but they don't because the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's like Iceland, where they're like, we finally had a good player. We had one. What's the U.S. going to do with them?
Hey,
No,
Iceland almost made the World Cup.
Iceland is pretty good.
But what I'm saying is that they probably thought that with Aaron Johansson that they would have made it. You know, I mean if I were Icelandic,
Icelandic.
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely would be saying that right now. Oh man, I would be so pissed.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
we have players overseas that we've missed out on, like
Yes, we
Tim
have some people that I
and
could name, but I'm not going to.
and what's his name? Not I want to say Pirlo, but it's not him, because obviously he's a really good Italian, like
Giuseppe
very
Rossi.
Italian.
You're thinking of
Yeah,
Giuseppe.
that's it.
Yeah, Giuseppe Rossi. Yes.
Giuseppe Rossi and Neven Subotic are the two most.
Of the two of those, like Subotic is I mean Rossi is good, but like Nevin Subotic is he hasn't been he's injured now, right? Or he's been coming off of injury. He's had a bad year this year, but like if you want a big defender who's going to be strong in the air, so you can play your 3-5-2, like you could put Subotic back there and just not worry about it a ton. All right, we are getting close to running out of time. There's a little bit of trade magic, some of which involves players whose names I even know.
My God.
I know. Well, I know Eric Zavaleta because he is from this part of the world. He played at UW, and he was playing. He was a homegrown player for Seattle, actually, and they sent him to Toronto for a second-round draft pick, which, as far as I can tell, mostly exists to like fill out people's USL teams. I mean, second-round picks don't often make it into the first team.
Certainly not anymore.
5-6 years. Yeah.
Let me show you the greatest fourth round in MLS history.
Oh, is this the thing that Dan Gargan tweeted?
Yeah.
It was him, Kennedy. Oh God, and there were two other ones that were really good.
So just like really quick, speaking of Dan Kennedy, I'm really excited to actually be able to assess Dan Kennedy's skills because I have no idea how good he is because you mostly watch him making crazy save after crazy save and then picking the ball out of the net a bunch of times and just looking around like, am I the only one who cares? Like, and we're gonna actually find out how good he is because
I think we'll find out he's perfectly average.
Yeah.
You think so? I do not agree at all. I think that if Elliot had landed him 2 years ago, you're looking at a record-setting couple of seasons. I really do believe that about him.
But
I think we'll find out that he's just a slightly younger John Bush.
John Bush has like great save moments, you know, and he's generally pretty reliable.
But he's not
pretty reliable.
He's really the reason you win a game.
I think that Dan Kennedy kept Chivas in a lot of games.
See, this is the predominant opinion. Is like, oh, it would have been 9-0 instead of 5-0, you know, and you're like, yeah, I guess. The thing is, like, he makes kind of Hollywood saves. Like, he makes some great saves. Donovan Ricketts also made some great saves, but fundamentally as a keeper was pretty flawed. Like, I never really watched Dan Kennedy, you know, closely enough to know whether he's got some fundamental flaws in terms of how he organizes what goes on in front of him and how he's positioned and how he watches and understands a play developing in front of him, because it was always just like, well, you know, there were 30 shots on goal, and he only let in 3, so he must be amazing.
Well, I think part of it is, and just real quickly, the other two fourth-rounders who went on to illustriousness are Jeff Lorenowitz and Chris Wondolowski. So there was a time wherein deep picks would go on to greatness, although I think that time is past.
I'm looking back. There are a lot of really good fourth-rounders in history.
Really?
In history, yes, but I think after, say, 2012, maybe 11 or 10.
Michael Bradley was a fourth rounder.
Michael Bradley was a fourth rounder so that he could be drafted by his dad. Michael Bradley does not count.
Wow. You went to the well for that one. That was deep. That was like, yeah.
But Dan Kennedy has never had an organized defense in front of him, ever.
Yeah.
And Donovan Ricketts did poorly with a poorly organized defense in front of him. Although, to be fair, after he got his arm broken in San Jose a few years back, that same game that Mike McGee turned in the greatest performance for a goalkeeper in MLS history, he was never quite the same after that. Not for LA and certainly not for Portland. So I'm thinking maybe that had something to do with it. Like he never quite.
Lenhart was a fourth rounder.
Fucker.
Well, I think that's all we need to know about the fourth round.
Yeah.
things emerge.
But Zavaleta to TFC, I think it's sad that he's getting abandoned by the Sounders, but I think it's good that TFC is actually looking to build someone rather than just buying them.
Yep. Yeah. Oduro also going to TFC. Or no, from TFC. God, I can't even read. And then the big one, which is Felipe and Oyongo
Felipe, number one in
and
the
Alexander. Yeah. Well, Oyongo is he's actually overplaying in the Cup of Nations right now. Apparently doing pretty well. I've only had a chance to watch a couple of those games, but it's good.
And yet you don't care about the U.S. national team that much.
I mean, it's not that I don't care about the U.S. Stop saying. I said one time that I haven't watched that many of their games. You know. I haven't watched that many games from the Ivory Coast either. It's don't sue me.
Yeah, but you don't live in the Ivory Coast. No, I'm kidding.
You don't know that.
Ooh, there's a three. Sorry, I keep looking up old drafts now. In 2011, in the third round, 48, 49, 50, Bernardo Añor, Joao Plata, and Joe Willis.
Wow, Joe Plata would be okay.
Joao Plata, yeah. Wow, I guess the lengths, the depth to which you drop for being 5'2", that is unfortunate.
There will, I believe, I'm a believer in that the draft will always be useful. I think it. Obviously, with the expansion of academies and MLS's roots growing and all the other teams and their roots growing, it will become less so. But
I think homegrown players are already outperforming draftees.
Sure, but there are only 20 academies right now, MLS academies. So that's only a very finite amount of ground that they can cover, a very small percentage of American talent that they can
absolutely.
Can cover.
I'm certainly not trying to suggest that the college game is useless, but it's pretty close.
I mean, wait. Okay, I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut you off, but we closing on our time. So,
right.
Do either of you have a bold prediction that you'd like to share with the world?
Sure. We have seen a number one draft pick will never be a DP. We will get rid of the DP rule before a number one draft pick becomes one.
Wow. All right. That is pretty bold. Ian?
Let's see. Who was number one pick this year? Kyle Aaron. Ooh, isn't Kyle Aaron supposed to be awesome?
Supposed to be, but so is Andre Blake.
Yeah.
So is Omar Salgado.
He just got drafted by the wrong team, though.
Or the right team. I mean.
Yeah, right. I mean, to be fair, to be fair, Steve Birnbaum could have been easily the number one.
Look. You don't think Danny Mwanga is gonna be a DP?
A DP. Oh, you know what? You're right. I take it back.
You don't believe in Chance Myers? This.
Hey, it's like, oh, listen to this guy.
Oh, we were close. Mo Adu was the number one in 2007.
Oh shit. Okay.
I don't think he's a DP, but he might be.
He is.
Yes, yeah, he's
okay. Well,
you're both already wrong.
James Fisk.
All right. Well, maybe I'll say there'll never be another one. But
okay.
Outside of players who are already successful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, whoever we pick number one next year will definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a bold prediction, which is that Tim Cahill goes back to Australia.
And then
back to the land down under.
He gets signed by Melbourne City, by Melbourne City, and then ends up on loan, quote unquote, to Manchester City.
Manchester City, because they're just that hard up for people.
Apparently, they needed Lampard for that long.
Yeah. I think they just kept him around to mess with Chelsea. Honestly,
it's like they desperately wanted it to score on Chelsea.
Yeah.
They really just wanted to bring him in for this match this weekend, and then that's
Yeah.
He's hurt.
Okay, so Ian,
I'm supposed to make a
yeah, come on.
Prediction, right?
Yes, you.
All right, my bold prediction is that the MLS season will start. There will be no CBA thing. We haven't talked at all about this, but there's been a lot of negative talk about it, and I think it'll be fine. We're gonna start just on time. There's gonna be an agreement. Everyone's gonna be happy and holding hands and stuff, and it'll be great.
So
You had me up until the end there.
yeah, okay, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I figure we could save the CBA talk until we're a little bit closer.
Yeah.
It's all hearsay and posturing still right now. They apparently go to the table again on Tuesday.
Ooh, that'll be spicy. We'll have to do another little another update on that. Well, with that, I think we can close out another smashing edition of slashMLS podcast. Thank you very much to Ian and James. Thank you to Austin, and we will talk to you next time, or hear from you next time. You'll hear us talking about you hearing us. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Really out with a whimper here. Austin, stop it. Just stop it. Just cut me off.
And it just fades out with a whimper.
Oh, you know, he's done the thing where he put the song that we do at the end
okay.
now also.
Oh, nice.
And which is presumably also where the advertisement that we're going to be getting.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I haven't had any time to... I'm going to stop my recording. I haven't had any time to talk to anybody about that because I've been busy at my new job, and I need to go make dinner. So
Okay.
I will see you. I will upload this to Dropbox, and I will...
We'll see. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, probably talk. I'll try to be around a little more often now.
Cool. All right. Sounds
All right.
good.
Bye.
See ya. Meow. All right. We need to make a better effort to do Sundays. I've been pushing people.
I've been around.
You've been around.
Yeah.
Here's what I think I'm going to do. Because Rail Pete's around too. No one else seems to be. Me, you, Rail Pete, Sundays for now. And then that's
Maybe
just
we
what
can
we're
make
gonna do.
the Sunday the shit talk episode.
Kind of. I was thinking it was going to, like, that was the notion, was that it would be more, not that we're, like, uptight or professional or anything in the Wednesday episodes, but, like, Sunday would be even more relaxed and, like, more...
I would be cool with, like, a laid-back episode and a more structured episode.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, going even less structure than we have right now might not be the best idea. It's like, you know what this show needs? Us talking over each other more and not knowing what we're talking about.
No, we're always knowledgeable, so there's that.
There is that. That is
always,
true.